start Plenary 2, which focuses on opening up possibilities. How does vocational education and training, VET, promote multiple pathways?
歡迎大家翻到嚟我哋下午嘅論壇，我哋咧接住落嚟咧呢一個環節嘅主題係拉闊未來可能，如何從職專教育拓展多元出路。
At this time, we would like to invite our panel speakers onto the stage. They are Mr. Albert CHAU, Vice President, Teaching and Learning, Hong Kong Baptist University.
香港浸會大學副校長教育學周偉立先生。
Mr. Alan Cheung, President Honoris Causa of Hong Kong Young Industrialists Council.
香港青年工業家協會榮譽會長張益倫先生。
Mr. Esmond LEE, Deputy Secretary for Education, Education Bureau.
教育局副秘書長李忠善先生。
Moderating this session for us will be Dr. Anthony MANN, Senior Policy Analyst, Education and Skills Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD.
經濟合作暨發展組織高級政策分析師、教育與技能 Dr. Anthony MANN。
Dr. Mann, let us turn things over to you. Thank you.
Thank you all so much. Come on, do find a seat. There's plenty of space. I know there's been a good lunch. So we're going to wake you up by talking to you about vocational education. Now, I work for the OECD, international organization. One of the best things about my job is I get to travel the world and see education systems in practice, including a lot of good vocational education systems. And when you see a great vocational education system, you feel almost emotional about it, because you see that these children, the young people, are being given an extra choice, a new opportunity. They're learning skills which are very relevant to work. They're very confident they're going to get a skilled job at the end of it. It makes a real difference. But unfortunately, you also see some really bad VET when you travel the world, where students end up in programs, where they're not confident that what they learn is going to be relevant to a future job. Maybe there isn't a future job which links to what they're doing. And that's a real betrayal of our children. So vocational education, it's easy to get wrong. But when you get it right, the benefits are huge for young people. So that's what we're going to be talking about. We've got 45 minutes. There's going to be 10 minutes for questions. So start thinking about your questions as we go through. There'll be opportunity to ask them. We've got the best panel you could have in Hong Kong to talk about this. I'm going to ask these three fine gentlemen to introduce themselves, and then we're going to start on our discussion. So let me begin and ask Albert, say hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm Albert CHAU, Vice President for Teaching and Learning at Hong Kong Baptist University. I'm a psychologist by training.
Okay. Hi, I'm Alan Cheung, the Honorary President of the Hong Kong Young Industrialists Council. I'm very honored to be here. And frankly speaking, I'm honored to Hong Kong because it makes me to exposed to different sector, no matter educational sector, and also social innovation sector, commercial sector. So I think that's why I would like to see whether I can share my opinion today with all the gentlemen here today. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Esmond LEE. I'm Deputy Secretary for Education. My portfolio is basically higher education and further education. One of the important priorities in my work, of course, is the vocational and professional education and training. And I have been a career civil servant for the past, I can't remember, 30-odd years, I think.
Well, I used to be a civil servant myself as well. It's a very good experience being a civil servant. You learn an awful lot very quickly. I'm going to start with you, actually, Esmond. And let's put some context around what we're doing here. Let's understand how the landscape works. Esmond, can you give us an overview of how vocational education and training is seen within Hong Kong, and what the government is doing here to make it more attractive, both to young people, but also to employers?
First of all, I think following up the discussion this morning, one of the key themes is diversity. I must say I'm an advocate of diversity, and I think not everyone needs to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. You know, the three main preferred careers among Hong Kong people, among Hong Kong parents. I think in recent years there has been a growing awareness that you can be successful in other fields. For example, we have the Olympic athletes. We have the fencing athlete winning an Olympic gold medal. And we have also very accomplished artists and musicians. So with that underlying principle, I think the government the government's role is basically to help students make up their mind on what they want to do in life, okay? Not just in college, but in life. And that begins, I think, in the secondary school with the life planning, with teachers dishing out advice to the kids on what is possible. And over lunch, we talk about possibilities for the ethnic minorities. I think it's not just possibilities for ethnic minorities, also possibilities for Hong Kong young people. And we work with industries. We have Alan here, who is a staunch supporter of government initiatives to arrange visits and talks so that the young people, the students, they have an idea what it's like in a preferred workplace, be it in the aircraft maintenance, in nursing, in commerce, you know, that sort of environment. We also target parents because through parent education, because parents do play a vital role in their kids making their decision. Usually we think the strongest obstacle to encouraging young people to follow their aspirations, to follow their heart in choosing a career is the parents, because they always put undue pressure on the kids trying to choose the 3 preferred occupation. In our education system in Form 4, that is the 4th year in the secondary education, we allow students to take applied learning subjects. That is to give them a first taste of what they want to do in their career. This is very important. It used to be in the 5th year, but we advanced it, I think 2 years ago, to Form 4, and it has had a tremendous response rate, a jump in the response rate, because the kids can do it in Form 4 and Form 5. And then in the last year, they can focus on the academic side while they can have a bit of the preferred career workplace in Form 4 and Form 5. And of course, CLAP Tech is one example, one model where kids can take in Form 4 and Form 5. And of course, we have the Vocational Training Council, which also runs a similar scheme to allow the DSE students, the students to stay input in their normal DSE curriculum, but at the same time, they have the opportunity to obtain a diploma of vocational education. They are piloting this scheme, and we are anxious to know the result. And if it works, then we can replicate the success story to other schools. And at the degree level, of course, if you ask the parents in Hong Kong, they always think their kids do need a college degree. So that's why last October, the chief executive announced a new initiative to encourage the development or the setting up of a University of Applied Sciences. Basically, is to blend the theory and the workplace and the learning. And I'm pleased to say that we have received an application, and we hope we will be able to announce the first University of Applied Science shortly. And when this first university is announced, we'll invite the university to spearhead a coalition with a startup fund of 100 million to focus on 3 aspects. One would be to step up the promotion of VPET, and also to organize some international conferences so that there will be exchange of views, and also to visit some of the more advanced places where VPET is done very well, such as Finland, such as Germany. To conclude, I think our objective is basically twofold. One is to change the negative perception of VPET among students, parents, and teachers in the wider community. This is the first point. And the second point, of course, our focus is on the students. So we would like to provide quality, flexible, diversified study pathways for students, because we know that they have different aspirations, they have different interests, they have different capabilities. So at the end of the day, the choice must be theirs, not their parents, not us, not the governments. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Esmond. I mean, that's a really good overview of what the government perspective is on this. And interesting within it is that often when we think about vocational education, we only think about apprenticeships. once people have left education, they're in work with training. But here we see a lot of really interesting work taking place within the secondary school system, within high school system, which has an implication for reputation, because you're not asking somebody to go to another institution. They can stay where they are and they can have a taste of programs which help them to think about their vocational education. I was fortunate yesterday that I went to the Silesian school with Principal Lee, who's here somewhere, and we saw the Clap Tech program, a very impressive Clap Tech program. I'm going to ask Alan for you to tell us a bit more about that. This is, oh, sorry, Albert, I'm so sorry. All the A's. Okay, don't worry. I haven't got my glasses on.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask actually Albert.
Yeah.
Alan would have answered that question, but because he's a good lad.
Yes, of course.
I'm going to ask Albert about that, because this is really innovation. So we're very interested in how does CLAPTEC work?
Okay.
What's new and different about it? And particularly from a student perspective, we heard from the government, what does the students think?
Well, actually, Esmond has already answered half of the question, or provided half of the answers that I've prepared. So
So that's why Anthony skipped to me.
half of it only. I have to earn my lunch. Okay. Now, I think the key word that Esmond started with is diverse. Okay. I think CLAPTEC provides diverse learning experience. Okay. Okay, let me go on. Okay, diverse learning experience. Diverse in the people they meet. Okay, they would have teachers, they would have industrial partners, they would meet entrepreneur advisors, so on and so forth. And then diverse possibilities. Multiple pathways, well, they can articulate into a higher diploma program, they can articulate into the university. So the diversity is in the learning experience because CLAPTEC is a tripartite partnership. The schools, okay, students would complete the CLAPTEC modules as their applied learning study modules, part of the DSE. And then we have the industrial partners. They work with the information communicative technology experts, creative media experts. They have internships they visit. Okay, so this is the diversity in the people they meet and the diversity in the learning experiences they go through. Now, these days in universities or in schools, we talk a lot about contextualized learning. We should not confine learning to the campus or, well, just assignments, okay? We want our students to learn the knowledge, the skills, right in the context where those skills would be applicable. And we would like to see assessment happening in the right context as well. Well, we are trying to move away very diligently, okay, from closed book, behind closed door examination, because those examinations are far, far away from the real work context that we all experience. I still don't remember, I cannot remember the last time I was allowed to consult a book or go on the internet and try to complete a question closed book. Okay, I don't think it's going to happen. So the diverse experience is important. Curricular, co-curricular, and extracurricular activities all blend together. And the contextualized learning will help students to build connections. They will see why they need to learn those knowledge and skills. And this is exactly the motivating side of learning. We have a lot of experts here. Principal Tai Helab is a pioneer. So when we look at learning, we have to look at motivation. And seeing the connection, seeing the possibilities of application would be a very, very important intrinsic and to some extent extrinsic motivator for the students. Now, and I'm very happy to say that with the effort of the government, probably, we did a survey with our employers, okay, under the CLAPTEC program. And employers tend to see graduates of the high diploma rather similar to degree holders by the time they graduate, okay? Now, this is another way of providing articulation paths. Many universities in the world, for example, Stanford, they have a model of the 2030. They have this idea of open loop university, hop on, hop off. When you need something, you go back to the school, you learn, and then you go out, work a little bit, you come back. the higher diploma or in future, maybe university education has to be just in time, okay? Our keynote speaker talked about that this morning. Rather than upfront all the learning, say to before 30 years old, well, there is a need for us to continuously update ourselves in the rest of our work life or even personal life. So university may be more diverse, okay? It doesn't have to be a fixed time, 4-year, 6-year degree. After that, you are equipped, you are fully educated, and then you can work. Maybe that is not the kind of education we talk about. So higher diploma, and then at the appropriate time, they come back for a bachelor degree, and then at another appropriate time, they come back for a micro degree, a mini degree, and then master degree. I think all these possibilities should be opened up. Now, as I said, Esmond has provided the answer that I have prepared half only, okay? And now I'm going to earn my lunch. The other half, to me, in CLAPTEC, is the integration. We have diverse learning experience, we have diverse people, we have diverse contexts, but they are all articulated, they are all conceived under one model. And that model is that students would go through the regular, the CLAPTEC as part of their regular secondary school education, and then higher diploma or bachelor degree. And then the experience we try to design is that the industrial experience and the classroom experience should somehow be closely geared to one another. We hope students will see the connection, they don't see the dissociation or the lack of connection between the two parts. So the integration is another part. We try to provide that platform, but at the end of the day, the assimilation, the combination, is a lot of creative work on the students' part. Students never cease to surprise us. They would tell us, oh, just yesterday at the school, they would tell us how the experience in the creative media helped them to create a video in school, okay, to promote environmental consumption of food, okay, or new sources of protein in the world. So this is the kind of connection, this is the kind of creative work that teachers or an old man like me would never be able to do. We provide all this context and integrated platform, and the assimilation, the integration would well be done by the students. So this is the beauty of CLAPTEC, I would say. So hopefully, with concerted efforts, we can provide more opportunities like this. And this experience would also help students to form informed decisions. That is another part of the assimilation or integration they do. Our survey showed that the CLAPTEC participants, 90% of them would say their choice of further education or work is based on well-informed decision because they have already got exposure. They might choose to do something else, but at least they know I have experienced creative media, for example. That is not my cup of tea. I'll venture on something else. That is also an informed decision. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Albert. We're lucky on this panel because of the 3 people we have with us. Because a simple test of a vocational system, whether it really works or not, you find that 3 different groups are happy. Society is happy, as represented by government, because it works for the general good. The students are happy, because it gives them real opportunities. But then employers also need to be happy as well. And so, Alan, can you talk to us a bit about the employer perspective, and what Hong Kong employers think about becoming engaged in vocational education? What might be some of the challenges, but what are some of the things which they will make it easier for them to become involved?
Sure, thank you, Anthony. First of all, I would like to maybe redefine the word vocational. Because in my maybe 20 or 30 years ago, vocational means manufacturing, production. But right now, vocational is not only related to the production and manufacturing, just as, for example, product design, research, and then do some of the prototyping. And then after you do the prototyping, you have designed your marketing strategies, branding strategies. And before launching to the market, you need to do a lot of the lab testing to make sure that your product is up to standard into the market. And then you need to design your user experience and also your sales channel how to market your service and products to the ultimate consumers. And after even the consumer receive your goods and services, and then you need to have some kind of the after-sales service to do some survey, big data analysis, so that in this perspective, you can see that vocational, maybe we need to advocate is not just restricted to the manufacturing and production in the old school mindset. Okay, I think we need to tell our parents. So nowadays, I see a lot of the youth sitting here. I think now you need to know that vocational training is not a second choice. It's an alternative pathway to grow yourself to be a success. So in this way, I can say that I hope that today we have the chance to share from different perspectives, can inspire not only the petitioners, the stakeholders, just like from the government bureau, but more importantly, the youth sitting here, and also the parents sitting here, to see that vocational training, or in Hong Kong, because I'm lucky to be appointed as one of the task force to promote the vocational education training. But we finally, the task force think that we need to make this term more sexy. We call it VPAC, vocational and professional, in order to upgrade the branding image of vocational training. So to answer your question is that, so basically, as I mentioned that, because there is a mindset change from the employer side, because from Hong Kong, the economic change from a, production lead, and then the secondary industry, and then servicing industry. But now we can see that the economic development need to be a more diverse one, just like what Albert and also Esmond mentioned that. So in order to satisfy this diverse economic growth, we need to have different type of the people with different type of the skill set in order to make sure that you can provide a good and service to satisfy the customer needs on one hand. But on the other hand, you can solve the societal problems. So in this way, for the employee side, so if we collaborated with the tertiary institution or even secondary schools, so we have already built a network with them. So in this case, we will try to advise some of the up-to-date skill set to the school to see whether they can modify their curriculum a bit so as to equip the students with the up-to-date skill set. And so that after that, when they graduate, so they will be more job ready. Okay, so in this case, as an employer, so it will create a lot of the, maybe the task force for us, the workforce for us. And secondly, because of that, doing some kind of collaboration with the school and also maybe some of the NGO, we build a very good network with them. And in case we have some kinds of the human shortage, nowadays we all know that every company is saying that we are shortage in workforce. But actually, maybe we are shorting on some aspects, but actually we have abundant workforce in another aspect. For example, accounting, marketing, because of the generative AI, a lot of the marketing staff need to reskill. For accounting, or even some of the legal representatives in the school, because of the reg tech and also the law tech. So the AI already done their jobs, so maybe they need to reskill. So in this way, when we collaborate with the school and then provide some of the vocational training or school training to them, so that we can sustain their work life. Yeah, so in this way. And thirdly, in this way, because the company, in order to make sure that we are competitive in the marketplace, we need to have a new talent to do the new tasks in order to satisfy the ever-changing marketplace. So in this way, we can have a pipeline of a task workforce to be equipped. So in this way, maybe we can save a lot of the recruitment costs because we have the good connection with the school, with the good connection with the students. And another benefit to the being an employer is that it's a chemistry. Whenever we provide some kind of vocational, professional training to the students in the form of internship or even some apprenticeship, actually it creates another advantage to our existing staff, because in this way our staff become the supervisor of these young people. But before they do the coaching, they need to, how to say, make sure that they know how to teach them. So that they need to unlearn and relearn, and how to share their experience with them. But at the same time, miracle happen. They find that some of the skill set of the youth, just like the social media marketing, the big data analysis, and do some kind of the video clipping, the young people do much faster than them. And they find then they can learn from the youth. So in this way, before that, I need to ask my colleagues, okay, you need to keep lifelong learning. But in this way, the young people motivate our staff to learn continuously. So that I think this is the benefit to be an employer to support the vocational profession, the VPAP program in this way. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Alan. A reminder, people, that we're going to be open to questions in about 8 minutes' time. So think about your questions, who you want to ask them to, what you want to ask about. But we have a bit more time yet. And I want to pick up what Alan was talking about this general employer interest in the employer role. So valuable, keeping it real, making it relevant. So important to good vocational education and training. But then ask Albert to give us some, quite practical examples of the way that this is happening, today in Principal Lee's school, in the CLAP Tech program.
Okay. Employers' input comes at all stages of our planning. We have a steering committee, indeed, for the CLAP Tech program. And the steering committee is composed of teachers, colleagues from HKBU, and then industrial leaders. They will advise us on the design of the curriculum, the kind of skills that the students would need. For example, computer programming knowledge, okay? The students have to learn Python. They would tell us what kind of knowledge and skills that students need to acquire, and then the sources of those knowledge. In the next stage, they will provide internship. Okay, they talk to our students. It is not just about the work that students are going to carry out in the company, but that training or the mentorship will also help students to plan their career. That's why CLAP Tech is actually a combination of CLAP at JC and PTech. Okay, so it is career planning, life planning, together with industrial exposure and advice. And then finally, employers will come in to provide part-time jobs, or even full-time jobs, or even preferred employment before students graduate. It is happening. We have examples like those. So we treasure that kind of partnership from all stages, all the way from planning to, you may say, after graduation nurturing of the young talents.
Yeah. And I think this depth and comprehensiveness of the employer engagement is what we need to see to give people confidence that it does lead to qualifications, experience, programs which employers actually trust and know. Now, we've got about 5-6 minutes left before we have your questions. And I just want to ask the panel to think a bit about the future of vocational education and training. If it continues to develop in the ways which we want to see it develop, how do you think this world would be different? How would Hong Kong be different in 10, maybe 20 years' time? What would be the big differences you would see? Esmond, can I start with you about...
No more complaints from the employers about lack of staff. I mean, and then you have happy and contented employees. And we have young people really thinking that they can maxing out their potential in whatever field they do. I think it's always a sad story last year when we heard the suicidal cases among students from secondary, primary, and tertiary. This is not really what we want to see. So I think at the end of the day, when we measure the success of education in Hong Kong, we shouldn't just focus on the academic performance as we talked about this morning. We did quite well academically, but when it comes to perhaps emotional well-being, perhaps resilience, we did not do that well. And that is probably corroborated by the fact that we do face all these problems. So I would hope that at the end of the day, the students, they choose their career based on their capabilities and their interests, their aspirations. I still keep thinking about it, and I have a story to tell because I've got a friend's daughter who is studying medicine. Unfortunately, she is suffering from some mental illnesses, and she's now continuing her studies and also seeing a doctor. And this is not really a desirable situation, but she's caught in that sort of situation. So I hope that this shouldn't be a recurring phenomenon in Hong Kong.
Yeah. In the future, we'll see many routes to success, many opportunities within education to find what works for you. Now, Alan, you're representing employers today. Can you imagine a time when employers are going to stop complaining about their inability to find the talent and skills they need?
Yeah, I need to be clear, just I never complained. But frankly speaking, I think that's the truth. We just talked this issue during the lunch. I think we need to engage more business sector in this way, because we cannot, being an employer, we cannot just sitting over there and complaining we are shortage of the labor. So we need to work proactively to see how we collaborated with the education sector and also maybe the government bureau in order to prepare or equip our students with the future skill set that on one way to benefit their organization, but as well as to propel the economic growth of Hong Kong. So in this way, I think, frankly speaking, I think that in the commercial sector, we have been changing a lot in the past 10 years because the government not only promoting just like the welfare issue, we are trying to promoting with some kind of the social innovation, cross-sector collaborations. So we use this type of the keywords, and in different trade organizations, we form an education committee. So in this committee, we work closely with the tertiary institution as well as the secondary students. So in this way, we are not just providing an internship program for the students to teach them the hard skills, but more importantly, we teach them the soft skills. Because being an employer or industrialist, we think that in the morning, speed of change actually is very fast, very fast. Even though nowadays I teach the students with these skills, maybe after their graduation, the skills no longer exist or already obsolete. So that what is really important is that to teach them the soft skills. For example, nowadays no one can, because of the speed, no one can know everything. We need to have a core disciplinary collaboration, so that we need to teach them collaboration skills, good communication skills, as well as the creativity. And finally, we will ask them, the student, when we provide the internship, we just not provide them the hard skills. Maybe we will create a new projects for the students. For example, being a youngster, what kind of the social problem you are going to want to address? Elderly, ethnic minority, social inclusion, something like that. So in this way, during the internship program, what type of skill set you can deploy in order to solve this kind of the social problems in a teamwork? So in this way, I think that a lot of the youngsters are being inspired that vocational skills or even technologies, together with the soft skills, can work together to help the society grow and also themselves. So I think we will pursue it in this way. So I will try my best, being in the capacity of some of the council members in the trade organization, to promote that. Stop complaining. We do not have the sufficient labor force, and instead, we are trying to work close with the partner to help how to build our future workforce. Thank you very much.
Wow. So I think we can see a future of smart internships, where we really think about what somebody gets out of that experience. But the message to employers is, you've got to be in it to win it. This only works if the economic community becomes involved with the education and training community in a substantive way. Now, if you have questions, that you're able to come up to the front. I think we might have a couple. But before that, let's just have a few seconds from, a minute from Albert on what his vision for the future would be.
Convergence.
Convergence, that's a great word.
Convergence. I see the boundary, so-called boundary between the traditional or academic education disciplines and vocational professional education will be blurred. Okay, we do a lot of service learning, experiential learning in so-called the traditional disciplines, physics, biology. On the other hand, well, with the development of the knowledge economy, the so-called vocational education has to be based on knowledge. Convergence.
That's a very good word to take away. And it's a very simple way to think about the future. Yeah. So do we have any questions? I think we do.
Thank you，唔該晒。咁緊接住落嚟咧，就係我哋嘅問答環節啦。有興趣發問嘅朋友咧，可以去到我哋嘅發問嘅 area，我哋會有工作人員協助你㗎。
Good afternoon, everyone. Hello, I'm Nathan, one of the management trainee at the Hong Kong Jockey Club. So traditionally, I think the success of VET programs is measured by job placement rate. And the question is, how can we create a more holistic approach, considering the factors like long-term career progressions, entrepreneurial skills development, or even the overall contribution to the economy? Thank you.
You are asking a very difficult question. We do graduate employment survey every year, and the percentage of full-time employment is dropping across the sector. Students are busier, or the young graduates are as busy as ever. They are even busier, but they are slashers. They don't have full-time employment. They work full-time, but they don't have full-time employment. So when we ask the question, do you have a full-time employment? No. Okay, so maybe we have to rethink the whole thing. Are we just pursuing employment rate? Is freelancer fully employed? Is entrepreneurship fully employed? We have to rethink the whole idea of career development. Sorry, I'm very naughty, I know, but.
Okay, for me, I would like to supplement. So basically, you're right. Maybe I think we cannot just measure the placement rate to judge whether the vocational training is a success or not. As maybe we mentioned that nowadays, especially for the youth, after their graduations, they may not be attached to one particular jobs. They will be the slashes. And also maybe according to statistics, or even maybe 1/10 will be doing a founder of the startups. So when we count all together this, maybe the placement rate will be much higher. But I agree with you, how we can convince the young people to seeing that vocational and professional education is one of the alternative pathway besides the traditional professional one, just like doctor, lawyer, something like that. I use the term entrepreneurship. But actually, entrepreneurship is not just applied to the business sector. I think it's a very generic name. What is meant by entrepreneurship? It's not just asking you to start a business. It's just ask you to keep agile, keep innovative, willing to try, embrace failure. And then after, even though you come across some challenges or failure, you are resilient enough to stand up again. And after that, you learn from the mistakes, and then we start. So this type is, we call it that we are trying to, through the vocational training, not only teach them the hard skills, but especially the entrepreneurial mindset, the soft skills, is what I mentioned at that. So in the past maybe 8 years, I'm using this type of the mentality to incubate my interns. I can say that most of them have a very promising career path nowadays, or maybe even 20% start their own entrepreneur already, own enterprise already. So that I think that if for me, I would trying to classify to match vocational and entrepreneur altogether. Yeah, thank you very much.
Do you want to come in on?
No, I just say entrepreneur is Well, I can't say or describe myself as entrepreneur, having worked in the government for more than 30 years. But definitely, I think it is always important to keep an open mind. So I always encourage young people, keep an open mind. You are not wedded to your job. You are not wedded to a particular organization. Whatever you learn at one place, I'm sure you can apply it in another context. And also, one thing might not relate to that question is basically, I think the government wants, ultimately, there should be a dedicated career pathway, articulation pathway for those who would like to pursue a VPAT career. And also, we talk about the possibility of giving information about what you are going to get if you get a job in that career. I think this is something down the road we are going to do. When we have the first University of Applied Sciences, we have more clap-tap courses. I don't know whether that will continue. I hope it will continue. Not just focusing on creative arts or the IT, but other disciplines as well.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a question here online. Will the existing 8 UG-funded universities shift more focus to applied, such as what Baptist University is doing? And if yes, what is the plan?
Well, first of all, the standard answer, of course, is the 8 UGC-funded universities, they have or they enjoy institutional autonomy. So it is not for the government to dictate or influence in their direction. But I suspect they are quite busy doing their research, focusing on the academic pursuits. I would expect the private university to play a greater role in the context of vocational education and training. As I said earlier, we expect the first University of Applied Sciences to be announced probably within this month or next month, and then we probably expect a second one coming on stream. So when we have 2 University of Applied Sciences, we can always take stock and what more can be done. And of course, with the alliance, with the startup the startup fund of 100 million, I'm sure there is much more we can do collectively, not just the government, not just the 2 University of Applied Sciences, but more than that.
Okay, anyone want to add to that?
You must have a view.
I don't necessarily see the so-called academic research or teaching is opposing the practical side of education. I would argue that it is actually the 2 sides of the same coin, and they go hand in hand. We always say research should inform teaching, and then when we put research findings in practice through students' experiential learning or translational research, well, we have new insights and new data for our academic research. So I don't see them as, I don't pitch them against one against the other. I would say they go hand in hand.
Okay, thank you very much, and thank you for your question. Thank you very much, Mr. CHAU, Mr. CHEUNG, Mr. Lee, and Dr. MANN for sharing your valuable insights. Thank you. We invite you to take a photo at this time, so please come forward in front of the coffee table, please.
Thank you，喺度再一次咧，多謝周先生、張生、李生同埋 Dr. MANN 為我哋帶嚟呢一個都非常之精彩嘅討論啊！頭先都有好多爭議性，即係大家都覺得好 challenging 嘅問題啊！咁都期待咧，我哋繼續咧係發掘更加多嘅可能性啦。
That's right. Okay, after our floor photographer, I invite you to look to the back, please. Could you also look to the very back of the room? Look at the back of the room. There is a video camera there at the back. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much to our guests. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen, another stimulating and inspiring discussion. We will now take a 15-minute coffee break. After the break, we will reconvene for our next plenary session. It is called How to Promote Equitable and Successful School-to-Work Transitions for Disadvantaged Youth, a topic I'm sure that many of you are interested in.
緊接住嚟係15分鐘嘅休息時間，休息過後，我哋會嚟到會場，會繼續進行今日嘅座談演講3，如何推動公平及有效的職學接軌。我哋轉頭見。
See you shortly.